Oh, hello, my name's Dylan. This is John and Dylan Online. John Talk.
What a beautiful British accent that was. Hi, my name is John Hastings, and today we will be talking about the real music feud that has captured the hearts of Toronto and all of Canada, because Canada's two favorite sons went after each other on social media a couple of weekends ago, and we're going to talk about it. No, we're not talking about those hack loser flash in the pan, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. We're talking about real music and cultural stars. That's right, Chris Jericho and Sebastian Bach had a Twitter feud over Sebastian Bach claiming that Chris Jericho lip syncs. Dylan, what are your thoughts, baby? Give it to me.
When I first read, first of all, very on brand for the last two people using X to be a wrestler in an 80s metal
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Is that this is like, because now more and more feuds are like they're showing the Instagram story. You have to go through a few different elements. This is the only one where they're like, they are on X, and one of them isn't even using swears. He's putting F and then the stars of the letters.
Sebastian Bach is putting the stars. So for those of you that don't know, and I do understand where Bashy Bach is coming from on this one, because all right, Sebastian Bach, very, very successful, not even 30 years ago, 40 years ago now.
Yeah, that's the thing that's funny is that Chris Jericho's like 30 years ago, and I was like, no, it's much longer than 30 years ago.
That's 35 years ago.
Yeah, like we rediscovered Skid Row. Okay, we need to explain who Sebastian Bach is. Sebastian Bach is the lead singer of the songs of the band Skid Row. Skid Row is the Dr. Pepper of 80s hair metal. So it's not the Vanguard, which was Motley Crue. It's not the Pop Star, which was Poison. It's not the like really good band, which was Guns N' Roses. They're the other ones where you're like, well, these guys are great, actually. And then you're like, yeah, don't look into anything that they did when they were super famous. And you're like, why? You're like, Sebastian Bach is the worst thing that could ever happen, which is a jock that goes into the arts and he's really good. And you're like, what does that mean? It's like, well, he showed up at MTV wearing a shirt that says AIDS kills, F dead. And then when they were like, why'd you wear that? And he was like, because it does. And that is cool because I have sex with girls. And you're like, oh, shit. Okay, cool, man.
Yeah. I'm having too much sex. I'm trying to ruin that.
Yeah, I'm trying to have too much sex with women. I want other people to have sex with women. Sebastian Bach, baby.
Fuck, man, that's fucked. That'll be the logo for the internet clip. Is that shirt that we're now selling on our web? No,
there we are. Not just selling. I've also gotten it tattooed on my chest and back. So
we're selling you the marker to make the shirt. We're not selling the shirt.
Yeah. You can buy photos of us drawing the shirt on our bodies and then walking around society. Oh, this isn't the type of shirt you want to take off. You want to draw it permanently on your body. So Skid Row, basically, like, Sebastian Bach literally meets his former band at Bon Jovi's wedding, John Bon Jovi's wedding, because we can all act like John Bon Jovi is just like a guy who's very soft, but in actuality, he's a crazy Italian man who talked about cheating on his wife in the documentary he just put out. And so he just invites every singer he knows to his wedding, has them sing at his wedding for him, which is so weird.
That's sick.
These are all my friends that do the thing I do. They will be doing what I do, not as well I do. Like, you're like, what?
They're the jesters and I am the king.
Dylan, imagine at your wedding, you made all the comedians all of them will be doing. Did you really?
Yeah, my idea was a show. I wanted to have a wedding, but then also a show up, go up open mic. Then I advertised to two completely different groups of people.
Oh my God! Why didn't you do that?
Like, people come up and they're like, "Wait, what's happening?" and then a bunch of incels perform for my family. But then everyone's too supportive at a wedding. No one would have been like, "Oh, let's bully these people." They would have been like,
I am aware of what was happening at your wedding, and let's just say the party had taken a turn for the confidence and the clarifying. So if that open mic had started, I can think of 3 people, one of whom now sober, that would have raised their hand and been like, let me tell you what you're doing wrong, and I'm just going to give you some instructions.
Oh, no, I mean my actual family.
That is true.
Not coworkers, actual family.
Not your colleagues who, oh boy, your wedding's real.
My old, barely mobile aunt who just can't move out of the way of someone being like, Why can't I say it? And she's like, I say it all the time. I don't understand the issue.
I'm
What
saying
are you
right
talking
now,
about?
why aren't any of these open micers the prime minister? They understand exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, Brenda
Yeah.
deserves your cum. Where's Brenda? Give her your cum.
One of my uncles got drunk and he was like, every prime minister is an immigrant now, but what do you do? Write a petition? And I was like, yeah, man, I'd love to go door to door with your petition. First of all, that's wrong. Second of all, what's your petition going to say? I don't like immigrants? You're like, I guess. So wait, by signing this, does it mean I don't like immigrants? No, it means just me. I don't. So wait a minute. I'm just witnessing this statement? All right.
Yeah.
I don't. What does this accomplish? I'm going to hand it to immigrants so they understand I don't like them.
I got 10,000 people to sign this petition to let you know I don't like immigrants. Wait, do those 10,000 people not like immigrants? No, they're fine with immigrants, but they want to let you know that I don't.
Yeah, it was very simple but also complicated. You're like, okay, well, why is this necessary? I don't know. The paper wouldn't print my editorial, I guess.
I remember talking to an uncle who had a couple of pops at a wedding, and I was thinking about this morning, which he went, one day I'm just going to walk into a bank and make them give me money. And I think about that being like, did that guy get so drunk that he thought he invented a bank robbery?
Was it my brother-in-law said the greatest thing when I had kids? He's like, finally, my real role in life. And I was like, what? He's like, I was always born to be an uncle, bro. As a father, I'm whatever. But I'm racist. I'm short, but I think I'm tall. And I believe in my own athleticism. I'm a perfect uncle. I was
You are so fucking correct because I have the perfect. Yeah. I have one uncle who is exactly that, and it's the best, the fucking best. We were in fucking Las Vegas seeing the Grateful Dead. I'm walking back to my room to go to sleep. He looks at me and he goes, "After the dead, man's got to play craps," and just walked into the Mirage.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, just like I like that it's craps. He's like, "What? You go to bed?" Hey, we just saw a psychedelic jam band. You gotta play the slots.
That's so funny. I want to play a game with no strategy where I'll guaranteed to lose, baby. I don't even want to 300?
Up 300.
Fuck. At one time I won a bit at a slot machine. I took it all out and got drunk. I won like $100 and I was like, we're drinking, but it was in a casino, so it's like, that's 2 beers. You're like, still counts. Still counts.
Still free though. Still fucking, you paid for it. I mean, the one thing, I don't drink anymore, but let me say this about Las Vegas. If you're an alcoholic, what are you doing not living in that city? That's like if you're like, I'm an American and I like the sun, but I don't live in Southern California. I'm like, what's stopping you, bro? It is, if you're sat at the penny slots, they're bringing you a beer. Do you understand? Like, what the fuck is going on?
So, what was I going to say? Skid Row weren't around for like the heart of hair metal in the mid 80s. They formed at that time. And then their main albums were Skid Row. Skid Row's a guy who just fucking slinked into a bar at midnight. They got 2 drinks and they bounced. In 89 and 91. So it's like they snuck it in just as like people were like, oh, maybe there's a new thing. Like I feel like obviously overnight Nirvana didn't make everything. Like people still liked fucking hair metal, but it was like pretty quickly after that where it's like, oh, okay, this isn't cool anymore.
I can explain to you because I'm a nerd and have read way too much about that time period. What Nirvana did was it changed the paradigm of the record industry, because what people don't actually understand is the reason why Nirvana came across as such a surprise, it was the first time the record company, because of barcodes, actually had to accurately count the albums they were selling. Like everyone goes like, why didn't country, metal, and punk or grunge get all popular in the early 90s? Like that's crazy. And it's like, it's not crazy. They were popular the whole time. They were just aspects of the record company they were not inflating via payola. Like you listen to the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young album, American Dream is the greatest example of this. That album is insanely bad. It has 2 different flutes on one song and a penny whistle on a Neil Young song. What the hell is going on? And they're like, it sold 5 million albums. And like, everyone's like, no one owns this album. They just lied about it. And that was one of the last albums to be put out pre-SoundScan. And then all this stuff was post-SoundScan, which is why they spiked. So hair metal was one of those things that all those record companies, because of crazy sales in the early 80s, just assumed would keep selling. And 89... Skid Row's debut album, one of the biggest debuts ever, and then he gets Slave to the Grind in 1991, a great album, and then they're basically done. And Slave to the Grind is is the tippy top of hair metal. They put that out, and then they sell out like every stadium in Europe, and are in nightclubs in 1992. Like, it is so, like, you are number one in the world today, and it is now Tuesday. Get the fuck off the bus, bitch. Like,
Well, that's the Pantera opened for Skid Row, and then like the next tour, Skid Row's opening for Pantera. And then the next tour, Pantera can't even like say they know Skid Row because their whole thing is like, fuck hair metal. It's like, didn't you guys make 2 complete hair metal albums?
yeah.
Like,
Aren't you like also? Go ahead.
Oh,
I
no,
don't
I
want to
mean, their logo, Pantera's logo before the Cowboys from Hell thing was just, and I'm not exaggerating this, a drawing I've done for my son that's like how you learn to draw, where it's like, here's how you draw a panther. Circle, 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 it's smiling.
That's good.
Have you seen? They don't have them on any streaming service. It's fascinating. The first two albums where it was Diamond Daryl.
You're looking at someone who's probably whose definite oldest and one of best friends' preferred Pantera albums are those first 2 albums, which he owns on CD. I saw him buy
That makes
at
sense.
Sam the Record Man. Oh my God,
That makes sense to me.
Also, by the way, you know how Pantera is really good, intense heavy metal? You know what they're also really good at? Hair metal. No shit. Like, it's like of course.
Well, yeah, you look at those guys, especially like the Trips. I'll never forget this, and it is a good way to drink. Where R.I.P. Vinnie Paul, the drummer, was like, they were like, some guy wrote in, I always get too hammered at parties. What do I do? And Vinnie Paul was like, have 5 shots, 10 minutes apart, then just pack 2 beers. You're surfing, and that works.
I mean,
it's like you have 5 shots, 10 minutes apart. And then you're like, whoa, I'm fucking... And then you have 2 beers to, like, surf along, throw some waters in there. That'll work to this day. But the problem is you have to use booze like it's drugs. Where you're like, I took 1 MDMA. You can't just be like, I'm doing 14 hits of fucking MDMA. You have to do it just like, I'm having 5 shots. Shots are good because it's medicine. You just make it medicine.
Just to actually get to the main part of our feud, as opposed to talking about Pantera the whole time, which we would do.
No, we're on a roll before fucking my internet cucked us. So basically, the analogy makes sense. They come in, they fucking are the last ones to the party. They get in, and they fucking... I'll tell you this, if you're using the party analogy, they definitely get some drinks and they get hammered.
They certainly get some drinks. They get some
but
pills.
Then they take 4
albums.
Why do they take 4 years to make another album? Because it's 91, then 95, John. Do you know that, or are you a big Skid Row guy?
I was a pretty big Skid Row head back in the day. Basically what it is that it's crazy ass ego. Sebastian Bach is one of those guys. Like, Sebastian Bach is a guy from Peterborough who likes Rush and is really handsome and is good at athletics and singing. So there was never ever a time where anyone questioned any decision he ever made.
Yeah, he's never been bad at anything.
He has never been bad at anything. He has never, like, to understand this man, understand this sentence. He woke up one day and went, I'm going to sell out Wembley Stadium with a rock band. And then he went to one wedding where he sang, and then that happened. Like, what? Like, there's no struggle in this man. So there's also, like, anytime you're like, hey, when you wore that shirt that fucking pissed everyone off, it affected our entire career. Oh, well, because you said anything, that means you're a motherfucker. I fuck you. I'll fuck your mother. Fuck.
Yeah, isn't he like Yngwie Malmsteen or any of these guys where it's like, who's the fucking guy who's a asshole?
There's a bunch of them. And heavy metal is great because heavy metal.
No, he's like a virtuoso guitarist, but he's just a fucking cunt.
Yngwie Malmsteen's a real piece of shit, and then Steve Vai, I think, is the good one. I can't remember. One of them is real.
There's a bald one that's fine, and then there's
Joe
another one.
Satriani is cool.
Satriani's well. So Satriani is just a weird Italian man who's like
guaranteed. I guarantee Joe Satriani has
tomatoes,
a weird
guitar. Tomatoes, guitar.
Yeah.
Tomatoes, make the sausage. Guitar, make up for the sausage.
Here's how you make a song about space. You make a good pasta, and then you think about the sun.
Yeah, he was Super Mario the guitar player.
Yeah, exactly. His brother. This is my brother Luigi. Yeah, the purpose.
I can't have at the concert. My neighbor step on my lawn. I have to make him punished.
I need you to understand the concert is canceled. Someone split the spaghetti in half before putting it in the pot.
I need the morning time. I would love it if Joe Satriani was that a stereotypical Italian man from North Toronto that he canceled a concert because he saw someone put their pop can in his recycling. That's yours. You take that with yourself, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch! What difference does it make? It's going out today. You're a son of a bitch! That's what difference it make.
You take from me! You! Don't take from me! Oh my God. Toronto Italian guys, the absolute best. I guarantee Joe Satriani, if he was that, I gotta cancel the concert. Someone tried to have a lawn made of grass on my street. It's the little pebbles with the statue.
The concert, the tours are done. My neighbor not taking care of his lawn. I have to do his lawn now. He's screaming at a guy. Satriani. Someone didn't tip. Someone didn't tip an Uber or tip too well. Concert's off. He's rattled.
That's 100%. I took an Uber here. He asked me to a tip. I don't tip. He told me someone once tipped 40%. I'm an Uber driver now.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. One of the best moments in the pandemic. My father-in-law comes in. They're angry. He's angry about something, and he turns to everyone. It was me, my wife, our son, and his son in there. So my brother-in-law, and he goes, "How much you tip on an Uber? What are you tipping on an Uber?" And we said, "I don't know if it's a long ride. Maybe you tip him like $2." He's like, "Wrong. You don't tip." And then his wife walks in. He's like, you get to tip. You tip the Uber." And he's like, "You're all fucking dumb." And then he went to his room for like so long and then came out like nothing had happened. He was screaming about tipping. Also one time he's like and then his son, I have a joke about this, but my brother-in-law was anti the vaccine but also got vaccinated because his mom told him to, which was great.
Great.
But then when they were reading in the riot act about not getting vaccinated, my father-in-law goes, "You gotta get vaccinated. I got mine. It's right here." And he had the Band-Aid on. And then his wife very correctly went, "Joe, you got vaccinated 2 weeks ago. Why is the Band-Aid still on? When's the last time you showered?" He was like, "That's not about me. It's about him. Him. It's about him. It's about him. Don't you come at me. I'm vaccinated. You asked me to get vaccinated." And then he just fucking went. His move is this. Yeah, the hand in the air like that, and then he's out of there, and that's what I believe Joe Satriani is.
By the way, right there, I want you to know something, everyone. This move right here, that should be the flag of Toronto Portuguese men. That's what it is right there. It's just a guy.
Wicked it would be to have a Prime Minister of Canada. No one would ever be against him if it just went like this.
No
just
one's
some
prepared.
Reporter asks a good question. Everyone's like, "Yeah, it's fine. Don't ask."
Yeah. I got to tell you, that's what Canada needs right now is a Toronto, first-generation Portuguese Toronto man.
Some guy.
Yeah.
If he gets to you talking like this, you're like, "Oh, shit."
Hey, pee boy. It's so specific to Toronto Portuguese men, which is they will say a coded thing you don't know, and then the small amount of anger they've reserved for this interaction has now grown 100 times that you don't understand a code they've just made up. This specifically happened. I remember I was eating breakfast with a person we both know, and a guy went, "You want some coffee?" And he went, "What?" And he went, "You don't understand what coffee is and you're having breakfast." And I'm just the best.
No, because there was, and now this is a very specific thing, but I'm sure people we have the face of gentrifiers, and in the 2010s, in the 2000s to 2010s, when a lot of people who had thick glasses and at that time better hairlines walked into their neighborhoods, we were the face of like, they bought Aunt Gladys's house. So it's like they got really fucking pissed about having the disgusting whites around.
I'm aware. I also weirdly, I think that they talk to each other because I was always treated with respect because I lived in Kensington Market, which was not their territory. But you went to the breakfast places and coffee shops in Little Portugal. And I believe the Chamber of Commerce was taking photos of the gentrifiers because I know the two other guys I would hang out who were like neighbors of mine in that area, they both were treated like piff. And then I always was fine. And I guarantee they were like, "He lives on the other side of Bathurst. It's okay."
Well, you also have always kind of dressed like you coach a little league team. Like neither of us had that like cool look. Sorry, go for it.
No, that's 100%. I do not. I never have looked cool. I look like I could date one of their daughters, and it would turn out I would really get into the Portuguese traditions.
Yeah, we both look like we work at a job that it would take us 15 minutes to describe you what it is, and we take it very seriously.
Yeah, we do not look like we're fun bosses, but we do look like you are going to get promoted. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, come in, you do something wrong, we're reporting it. What's a rat? I'll tell you what a rat does. It lives. We leave the room.
Am I a rat? No, I'm a human being. I can't become an animal.
That's a really good. I'm not a rat. I'm a human being. That's a really good way to make things not fun.
By the way, I guarantee no mafia person has ever thought of that counter. Like they've been like, "Boo, no, but you're a rat now," and I'm Joe Satriani.
Anyway, Sebastian Bach. Also, interesting thing about him. Very handsome as a youth. Now he's one of the ugliest things I've ever looked at.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, someone had a really good line one time about how and this is what the annoying thing about when people are really in shape or handsome as a kid and then they get ugly, but they were handsome for so long they don't realize they're ugly, and that's definitely Sebastian Bach, where he walks in and he thinks like he owns the place, and even if you call him ugly, he's like, no.
What's even crazier is he has like black teeth, and he's like clearly like just a booze bag, and like just so much confidence for it looking like he's smuggling raisinets in his gums.
Also, one of my dreams, now that I've refreshed my memory with what Sebastian Bach looks like now,
it's not
is
good,
to
buddy.
see a guy who looks like Sebastian Bach and a guy like Chris Jericho arguing about which has the better metal band at a bar.
Oh, you
would just be like, is there admission to this? I'm gonna watch what they say.
Here's the better part. The part of the feud starts off by Sebastian Bach implies that Chris Jericho's stealing his look. Did you not see that amazing part? Every time I've been getting it more and more over the last 2 or 3 years. That people telling me that Chris Jericho looks like me, and it's like one of those things where it's like, Sebastian, you don't realize you just done a real big diss to hit. Like in my mind, you've been like, he looks like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, people have been telling me you look bad. That's my thing. I look bad.
Oh my God, it's very embarrassing. Also, thing to remember about Sebastian Bach: got into a fist fight with the bouncers at the strip club Fillmore's in Toronto in 2017.
Well, I'm assuming lost by quite a bit.
Of course, his wife was a stripper at Fillmore's. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't. This is such an inside Toronto episode. Anyway, he was walking by.
Is not a good one. From what I've heard, I think they're all good, baby. If I can see Yabos and Bebes, I'm good.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've never been inside the Fillmore. I have driven down that street, and that street is one of the funnest / like most like it just has a vibe of like, man, I think I could buy a tarp, a Bible, and a gun from one guy, but I got to pick the right guy because I think the other 3 guys will just kind of rob me. Anyway, the reason why he fought those bouncers is his wife's photo from when she was a stripper at the Fillmore was still up in the window, and he did not like that he was like, you're fucking profiting off my good name. And they're like, no, man, it's your fucking wife was a stripper, and we took a photo of her being a stripper, and then we put it up with the other photos of strippers. I don't see how this is a problem. I'm a youth and I've gone wild.
You imagine Ray Romano goes to Absolute Comedy in Toronto, sees a picture of himself, and just starts throwing hands at the Wednesday host.
Hey, I'm absolutely comedy, not you.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's me, Ray Romano. I've been fighting everyone in every comedy club that I've done a spot in because they all have if I've performed at this club, they have a picture of me, and I fucking lose my mind.
I don't look like that anymore. I got gray in my hair. Update your photos. You're profiting off my good name.
I gotta do this now. He's also Italian.
Just because everyone loves Raymond.
Anyway, yeah, take that, Italians.
Anyway, and then the flip side of that, so that's Sebastian Bach. Then Sebastian Bach goes up against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, another specific Canadian archetype. His dad won a Stanley Cup, so Chris Jericho genuinely believes he is Jesus. Who is God? Define God.
Yeah, 2 guys with a lot of confidence who've just never. It's been all green lights for their entire life.
Yeah, it's all been all green lights, and it's one of those things where it's like, thank God they didn't go into sciences or they would have failed. They just went into the arts where just the right amount of confidence at the right time will get you so much further than anyone can possibly imagine.
Oh yeah, go into something that's where it's not quantifiable if you're right or wrong.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's no
It's
way
like,
of
yeah, it
proving.
looks like he's right. He thinks he's right. He's right.
Yeah, it looks like yeah, he bought a red leather jacket and said I'm going to sing in Wembley, and technically he did both of those things.
And Chris Jericho, clearly, he's a pro wrestler. He has a metal band called Fozzy, which if you're a wrestling fan, you're like, I guess he's going to do this. And now Fozzy's been around for over 20 years. And because wrestling fans buy everything a wrestler does, sometimes Fozzy has like #1 hits because everything has become pro wrestling where everything is its own weird little niche.
He has 5 #1 hits.
But what does that mean anymore?
He has had 5 songs that were downloaded the most of that genre in the first initial moments of its release because wrestling fans will immediately go listen to it, so it spikes it as a lot of new listeners going to his profile. And also, like, let's be totally honest, he very cleverly comes out to his own song on AEW, so that song gets stuck in your fucking head. So there was a period of time where you would occasionally have to listen to that song because you just had, come on, like, stuck in my fucking, it's just fucking nuts. What it is what's so crazy is Fozzy is literally just Chris Jericho's fucking squash game that he's monetized, and now he has to go to Arn Pryor. Like, it's so fucking great. Like, the other thing is, Fozzy has some #1s. They're not selling out anything bigger than a rock club.
No, they do a cruise.
They do the Jericho Cruise, of course.
No, the Jericho Cruise. Also, Chris Jericho and Sebastian Bach have like done shows together and like done the podcast together. And Chris Jericho is a professional wrestler. I guarantee he's gonna like have him on his podcast or something. Like at the end of the day, Chris Jericho is a guy handing you a ball, telling you to hit the clowns, and you can win a stuffy for your fucking like. He's a big carny, so.
The thing with it, too, is Sebastian Bach could have absolutely fucking won the fight, but Sebastian Bach doesn't know how to win these type of feuds because he just sticks with the things he knows, which was Chris Jericho comes in and is like, I'm totally fine as a singer, all that sort of stuff. And then how you get Chris Jericho is you go, yeah, you present yourself as this uniting force, but you give money to a bunch of things that cause divisions in the country. You're using your platform for bad. And then Chris Jericho doesn't know how to react to that because, as you point out, those are quantifiable, like yes, no questions, and Chris Jericho exists in a world of like, maybe, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
like, as opposed to what he does, which is he goes, I've only ever seen you singing on tape, and then Chris Jericho can be like, okay, here's me singing Youth Gone Wild to a camera. No one has ever accused me of not singing. We've all just accused him of please stop singing. No one wants this. No one has, this is what no one has said, including the members of Fozzy. This is a good idea. I like this.
But it is like someone who is like a big like sketch actor or something just starting to do stand up. It's like Chris Jericho being in Fozzy and it being successful is like John Lovitz getting booked for fucking headline gigs. It's like, yeah, man, you're really good at another thing and now you're just doing this thing. And we have to be like, yeah, man, people really like you for another thing.
This is a sidebar, is I feel that all of those guys do a disservice to David Spade, who is way better of a stand-up comedian than you're ever prepared to believe, because all the other SNL guys are like, I do stand-up, and they walk on and are like, here's the liar guy. I mean, Rob Schneider's stand-up act is quickly becoming my favorite thing ever because he's now like trying to become a right-wing comedian, but keeps getting kicked off stage at right-wing corporates because he goes on like a fucking 90s crazed ass, like, I was fucking an Asian chick in her ass, and now there's shit on my dick, and I'm mad at that. And then they're like, we're the type of Baptist that doesn't believe in showing your ankles. We also don't know that there are Asian women. Get out of our hall.
Oh, hell yeah, buddy. Hire me for those evil corporates. I'll fucking
Oh, my
kill.
God. Dylan got will kill. I am not a virgin, but I do look like a virgin. And then they will literally be like, yeah.
I'm not a virgin, but I am married and I have a child. Praise him.
Yeah, and they'll be...
That's
So what happens is Sebastian Bach just starts saying, people say I look like Chris Jericho. That's bad. And then someone else goes, that's not that bad. And he goes, that guy can't sing. He says he can sing. No one shows me a clip of him singing. And then a bunch of people show him videos of, like, it's very noticeable Chris Jericho is singing. Like, there's, like, he's in tiny clubs. It's clearly live. You can hear him breathing in and out. And Sebastian Bach, It's on a tape. That's a tape. That's everything. All this is a tape. Which I got to tell you, really makes me like Sebastian Bach. When I'm in that argument, I fucking hate that guy. But when you're listening to that argument, there was nothing better than the guy just here's the smoking gun. I used a knife. Fucking tricked you.
Well, also how the feud starts is him making fun of Trump people, which is how when I first read that it was going to be like a feud, I was like, holy shit. He like gets into Jericho about being a Trump guy. He doesn't. Yeah, it's crazy. And Chris Jericho is one of those people where it's like, no politics at the dinner table, clearly. He doesn't want to divide his audience, which is very smart thing to do.
But that's exactly, yeah, sorry.
No worries. I was done. Go for it.
But the way to get under his skin, Bachman, if you want to take care of business, is to bring that up immediately, because Chris Jericho won't respond. He'll just be like, if you notice, he doesn't chime in until they're just talking about his singing, which he can quantifiably prove. And then if someone goes, well, what about your Trump connections? He can go, we're not talking about that. We're talking about my singing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's playing a balancing act.
Yes. How does the feud end? Or is it's still going, probably?
Oh, it's still going, baby.
Oh, fuck
in that,
yeah.
what it is still is that Chris Jericho sang "Youth Gone Wild" and then talked about how, like, I am friends with Sebastian Bach. I'm still friends with Sebastian Bach. I don't know what this is about. And Sebastian Bach is still like, buddy, we're not fighting. I just don't think you can sing, and I think you're a piece of shit, which is fine.
We're not fighting. No offense, but I fucking think you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's what it is. It's the classic conversation I've had with people that are drunk in their 20s. Why do I have to leave the bar? Well, you took a swing at that. I've had this literal conversation. You took a swing at that bouncer. Well, you didn't want me to have the threesome with those girls. Well, one of those was the waitress, and you've had so many like Red Bull and vodka Jaeger bomb things because it was Christmas in 2016. Like, it's just, you're like, and he's like, why? And you're like, all right, well, this feud now lives in your head, bro.
Have you seen Chris Jericho on The Masked Singer?
I have not.
It's
fucking
so
hate
funny.
Chris Jericho. Like, I really hate him. Like, he's everything I hate, because what he is I guarantee you could literally Clockwork Orange Chris Jericho to give him humility, and he would stand up and be like, some of those dogs that died look like me when I'm naked, which is good. And you're like, fucking NHL, man.
You gotta watch The Masked Singer with Chris Jericho. It's supposed to be like, obviously you're supposed to, not know who's singing, and Chris Jericho so clearly is singing immediately. And the other thing about The Masked Singer, the thing that's always impressive is like everyone, the T-Pain thing, where like T-Pain can actually sing. So when it was revealed it was T-Pain, like, oh my God, T-Pain, you have a beautiful voice. Chris Jericho, like, has to sing in the Chris Jericho voice, or otherwise it sounds like shit, and he has to sing like specific songs, and when they ask him to have range, it's like, yeah, man, this is Chris Jericho, so obviously.
Yeah.
Everyone who's seen wrestling for 5 seconds was like, that's Chris Jericho.
Well, he also did start it off with a countdown, and the song he was singing was "Break the Walls Down."
I think, fuck, can we do it like this? I'm going to try and do Chris Jericho Masked Singer because it's so good. He starts winded.
What's his animal?
What's his animal? That's a good question.
I want you to know, a friend of mine said The Masked Singer is the worst thing they ever put on British television. And then I had to say, what about all those blackface times? And then that person, I could see them in their head going, no, this is worse. And I was just like, it's just one of those ones where it's like, anytime they're like, this is the worst moment in British television, I'm like, no, man, you guys made a sitcom about Hitler. Like, it's all pretty bad, I gotta tell you.
I mean, I think that Chris Jericho, The Masked Singer is pretty bad, just because it's like clearly last call for television, and it's like, here's these fucking celebrities that are losers.
You're so right. Everything is wrestling now. Like, The Masked Singer is just like, what if we just did wrestling entrances with celebrities and then there was a thing?
Yeah, and it's also like, it used to be, what was it? American Idol was like, text in because you decide who wins. And then isn't The Masked Singer just like, text in and it'll cost you 50 cents and then you'll get to have texted someone.
Yeah. Hey, text us. That gives us money.
Yeah, text us. We give the money to David Zaslav. Anyway, one sec.
Text us.
It all Take it off.
Do we get to see him? Do we get to see him sing?
I mean, I just put on the reveal, but there you go. It's Chris Jericho. Look at that face. He knows he
Oh
sucks.
my God, he looks like a tomato. I gotta tell you this. I think it's
there
a real.
you go. No, here it is.
Okay.
Oh, first
I
of
just
all,
want to say this,
so
by the way.
bad.
When you have to put musician next to legendary pro wrestler, and you're on The Masked Singer, that's actually like, well, no, they should know you're a musician from being from your singing. You fucking idiot! Like,
But also, it's like pro wrestler. Okay, John Cena. You'd be like, whoa, John Cena. I know who that is. So it's like, how are you supposed to guess? Like, oh my God, is that 9-time Intercontinental Champion
Yeah,
Tito Santana on The Masked Singer?
It would be like if you were going from 90s sitcoms and you had the girl that Urkel was attracted to on Family Matters. Like, you have to explain. Like, you're like, I know that's a wrestler, but I need someone to explain to me how I know that's a wrestler.
It's a great idea for a television show in the 90s when there was like 10 famous people. But now you're like, oh, take off the mask. Who is it? It's Glurp from Twitch.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you remember the show Entourage? It was one of Lloyd's boyfriends.
Here you go.
Oh my God. Oh, Leslie Jones, R.I.P.
Don't you dare look back. Keep your eyes on me.
He literally is all but saying, I am Chris Jericho. My name is Chris. I do wrestling and my name is Chris.
Shut up and dance. Don't you dare look back. Keep your eyes on me. I said.
It just sounds like someone's dad singing Yoki when they've had a couple. And the other thing is, the way he sings is just the ever voice, you know? So.
Yeah. Well, what he's just doing is he's like, I'm talking with a melody. Like, it's just like,
Yeah, so I think Sebastian would blow his Bach out.
yeah, I think he absolutely would. But also, I want to see that whole pay-per-view event. I want to see them arrive. I want Sebastian to be late. He shows up. They're just gonna have chili on him. So, did you have chili today? No.
He shows up. He's singing while chewing. That'd be good.
Yeah, just having a roast beef sandwich. Where'd you get that sandwich? They're in the car. It's from Arby's. Is there an Arby's in the car? All right, we stopped. All right, like once you're late, you just be more late.
I've got a fart brewing. I can still sing while chewing. Yeah.
My asshole looks like that sauce. So let me
Oh
say
yeah,
this.
and then it would be metal diss tracks, but instead of being like about a wizard, it'd be fucking hair metal. Where it'd be
my
like, rolling down the street, going to the club. Chris Jericho sucked my dick, and he wasn't good at it.
I guarantee. I will say this right now. We have very little Patreon money. I will give all of it for each of those bands to record a diss track. Fozzy will not take the money. Sebastian Bach will bite our fucking hands to get it. And I want to hear that. The Sebastian Bach diss track will be good because there's going to be some fucking, like some DOS, like, and that's because you're a little pussy.
Oh yeah, it'll be Youth Gone Wild but reworked. You
Oh, my
are
God.
the bitch gone wild. It won't be clever.
You are the bitch gone mild, is what he'll say.
Whoa,
Yeah,
he will.
yeah.
I like that. I like that a guy who wore a shirt that said AIDS kills Fs now is like, but I still don't like Trump. So we can all learn from our mistakes.
I mean, that's the thing I like about Sebastian Bach. What are the 3 things you believe in? I believe in all gay people dying. I believe in Trump being a bad guy. And I believe that one man I know does not sing when he advertises him being singing.
Two of the 3 things I believe
Also-
are fucking nuts.
It's weird what is becoming the Oprah of our day, and I truly believe that it is Steve-O's weird podcast he does from a van, which has one of the I don't know what this says about my algorithm, but I've been shown this clip about 500 times, which is Sebastian Bach saying, I've taken all these sleeping pills, and my doctor just told me to just get back on wine and weed. And I was like, no, I want them sleeping pills. So he just gave me 1 pill. Now I smoke weed and drink wine. Cholesterol's fine. And I'm like, well, cholesterol is not really... I don't think that has to do with anything else there, Sebastian. It just sounds like you've moved off of food and just gone strictly for liquor. Also, I like how your idea is like, you want to know who wants to hear about me drinking more? This notably sober man.
Yeah, I don't think Sebastian Bach, when you get famous too early, but then the world bites you, I feel like he probably genuinely doesn't hear what other people say. It's just like a noise that they make, and then they stop, and then he says the thing he's going to say anyway.
Well, you know who Sebastian Bach, and this has been confirmed and true, you know who his best friend is?
Oh, no.
Axl Rose. Like the guy he hangs at, like he
Oh,
who he
no.
texts about gossip is Axl Rose. So you also have to understand Sebastian Bach's like advice prism is very affected. Like, I'm not really liking Trump. What should I do? W. Axl Rose. Oh, well, what you want to do is probably tell you that fuck Chris Jericho. I saw him at the Beverly Hills Hilton at the buffet line, and I was wearing a football jersey, and he asked me what team I played for. There's no logo on the jersey. A man can just wear a jersey.
I do like these guys. Axl Rose and Sebastian Bach's favorite restaurants are probably all in hotels. Well, it's a Starbucks at a Holiday Inn, and then, of course.
Or they're one of those guys that like Chipotle is a nice restaurant. I'm taking my kid out, not one of the ones that lives with me, one of the ones I used to have custody of on weekends, but we lost that, whatever. We're going to a nice sit-down meal. We're going to a Chipotle.
Yeah, one of the things where in the 80s the bandana was a fashion choice, and now it's necessary so that you just go Hogan. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! I mean, what's so good is Sebastian Bach clearly is wearing a wig or had some sort of hair rejuvenation because he is really pushing to the front. Like he will really,
That's sick.
He really moves his hairline into the frame, as I would as well. By the way, let me just answer that question by showing you that I am not bald.
Oh man, just looking fucked. When you have the same diet you've had since you were 20 and you were a fucking guy in a metal band, good lord. Anyway, Sebastian Bach, look at old pictures of him. He looks like a lady. His face looks like like one of those models who's like not necessarily even like he just looks like you drew him. It's like a bunch of fucking right angles, and then now he just looks like sludge.
In the 80s, he looked like glass, and now he looks like polystyrene.
That's a very good. And then Chris Jericho would look fine if he had his shirt on.
That's the thing. Chris Jericho, just like learn, like we all have weak points. Your weak point is that your entire body looks like cottage cheese trapped in some sort of flesh bag.
Yeah, you look like Professor Zoidberg with your shirt off now.
Yeah.
If you put a shirt on, you'd look great.
Excuse me, Mr. Jericho, are you shirtless or are you smuggling a variety of almost dead snakes inside of a nice purse?
It is pretty funny that a guy who's that right wing has become a figure in the body positivity movement, I assume.
Do you know what's also really nice is that where they are in the right wing right now, if you brought in like, which this is crazy and I keep saying this to people, what like I remember right wing people being, which is like my grandfather, which is just like a man in a tie, that music's too loud. You know what I mean? Like they would be so angry. Why is that man's first name Kid? That is not a name. That is a description of someone that is weak. And you're like, I mean, he's like your number one musician now. Music. There's no music in politics. If you want to relax, you sit quietly and listen to your own breathing.
Well, that's the problem. Let's close on this crazy thing.
Close on
That seems to be the problem with if you're going to have the two-party system, the left and the right wing, is that the left wing, if you're right wing, your grandfather learned to put up with having Robert Ritchie himself on his side. Like, yeah, he may have a solid gold toilet that you have to shoot with a gun to flush, but at least he believes in not funding roads. And then the left wing is like, hey, I am completely agreeing with you. Only thing is, I kind of have a guilty pleasure for Ted Nugent. Oh, cool. Come back when you're not a fucking racist.
Yeah. You know what else has a stranglehold on me? Imperialism. Get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to say one thing to Dylan's point, and it's 100% correct, and it's something that I think about all the time. I have someone in my family who didn't vote for a mayor of Ottawa because they saw them having dinner at 5, and they're like, what kind of adult does that? I don't want you in charge of my city. And I think about that every time. When people are like, I really care about this and that. And I'm like, nah, man, I think you're just like, I don't like, that guy's old and I don't like it. I like the other guy who doesn't seem as old. I'm like, I would much rather have that discussion than like, well, it's like, nah, man, it's like, I'm in the Bach Jericho feud. I don't agree with Jericho's politics, but I agree with Jericho in this case. Also, when it comes to leather jackets, I go red over white.
Whoa, delirious
over
over
a white leather jacket in recent photos.
Oh God,
I don't go for that.
Yeah, buddy, delirious over White Snake. Thank you guys so much. Next week we'll have an episode that I'll fill in right after this pause.
Don King.
Oh, so go listen to that. Thank you.